Good evening. I've got 6:30. I'll call to order this meeting of the City of Columbus Plan Commission for Thursday, June 28th, 2018. Matt, when you're ready, could you please take a roll call?
Sure. Monday,
Present.
Robbins,
Here.
Tome,
Here.
Zapataki.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Number 3, notice of open meeting. This meeting has been noticed in accordance with state statutes and local ordinances. Number 4 then is to approve the agenda for this evening. We have 4 items.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on that motion? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. Did we have anybody here that wanted to make citizen comments this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 6, which is approval of the minutes. We have minutes in the packet from Thursday, May 17th meeting, it looks like.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from Thursday, May 17th, 2018. Any discussion on that? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes have been approved. We have no unfinished business this evening, so new business A is a public hearing for the request of Columbia County Highway Department and Robert and Connie Weihert for a zoning map amendment for their properties at 131 and 151 Hirel Street. Man, I'll turn it over to you if you just want to summarize it.
Sure. As you guys recall, we at the May meeting, we approved the CSM. And Uriah pointed out correctly that because the properties were differently zoned, that they also needed to go through a rezoning process. Council did approve the CSM at the June 5th, the June 5th meeting. And we will use the legal description from the CSM to essentially redraw the zoning districts so they're the same as the parcel lines. And that was the reason for approving the CSM at that time. It really, at this point, this is more procedural than anything. We're just making the parcels essentially whole again. So we're changing the Bob's Beverage parcel, or the Bob and Connie's parcel, which is 131 Hirel, to make sure the entire parcel is zone B2, which is highway commercial, and then the county highway shop is all going to be zoned I1. So we're like taking about 150 square feet of parcel and switching the zoning on it. So.
Okay. I guess I better legally make sure that I have opened the public hearing. Is anyone opposed to opening that public hearing? Okay. Is anyone here this evening to make comments on this public hearing? You weren't expecting anyone?
No.
yet? Okay.
No. Sorry.
All right. For the second time, I'll ask if there's anyone else present to make comments at this public hearing. Seeing none, I'll ask for the third and final time if there's anyone present wishing to make any comments at this public hearing for this request. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing then and move on to item B, which is to deliberate and make a recommendation to the council on the request for the Columbia County Highway Department and Robert and Connie Weihert for a zoning map amendment for their properties at 131 and 151 Hirel Street.
I'll make a motion that we make the recommendation to the council on the 2 properties at 131 and 151 Pearl Street.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to make the recommendation to the council to approve the request. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any further discussion on this? If none, could we please take a roll call, Matt?
Sure. Monday,
Yes.
Robbins,
Yes.
Tome,
Yes.
Zapataki.
Yes.
Thank you. On to item C then, which is consider recommendation to the Common Council on the certified survey map of parcel numbers 1450.25 and 1450.24. Matt?
Sure. This is a fairly simple CSM where they are going to be combining 2 lots into one. When my discussions with Trinity Homes, the lot 24 is a little bit of a smaller lot, and as you can see on the CSM, there's a utility easement that runs through it. So they decided that they would rather combine the 2 lots to kind of give them more space to build their home, which kind of actually works out good with the memo I received Bob followed up with Columbus Water and Light, and Water and Light gave us a memo just to make the builder aware, obviously, that they're next to a water tower, but also when they sell the home, to make the homeowner aware that there will be routine maintenance that would happen every 10 to 15 years that could potentially impact the homeowner. And Eric Anthon from Water and Light suggested if the builder built the lot on the northern side of the lot, as far north as you can within the zoning code, that would help mitigate any issues that they could potentially have. So I didn't see any major issues with the CSM as it was presented to me.
So it's essentially just combining two into one.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. And just so you guys know, I did put the copy of the memo, because I received it yesterday. I printed a copy and put it on your desks up there. On your,
I have a couple of comments.
please.
Number one, is there any indication in the packet or what was submitted where the toe of the hill is there? I know that, the water tower is on a plateau and then there's a hill slope. Where does the toe of the bottom of that hill slope land on lot 24 or 25? I mean,
No, I've been by the site, and it's not on either of the lots. I'm fairly confident of that. And then the other thing is, when they submitted the CSM, they submitted everything that was required under, it's under section 90 of our subdivision code. There's 12 items that we need to have that's required by state statute when we receive a CSM application. So they had all of those items in the application. So I mean, I guess we could ask to show some topography if you think that would be helpful before council approves it or before they have it recorded at the county.
I think that would be helpful for visualization. That was more out of curiosity. The second comment I had was the maintenance issue on the water tower. I don't know if we or council wants to consider putting that right in the language on the CSM rather than having it just sort of this informal, hey, you should be aware of this kind of thing.
So you're saying have
not,
it-
not really a deed restriction, because there's no restriction to
No.
be had, but I know on plats and CSMs, like, for instance, out in the country, often you see language that says, hey, there's gonna be smells.
Yeah.
You know,
The one thing I could recommend would be putting it in the notes section of the CSM. A lot of times, that's where you'll see those types of items captured.
yeah, then it lives on
Yeah.
as opposed to just.
Well, yeah, because it'll be recorded at the county, and every time you go to the county's website, you'll see the survey, and, yeah, that makes sense.
I like that approach. There may not be an issue right now when the home is built, but in 25 years,
Mhm.
Right.
then all of a sudden they would, or if someone bought that home,
Right.
claim they weren't aware of the issue,
Yeah.
so.
Another item of curiosity, do you know does the same owner own lots 22 and 23?
I don't know.
Oh,
I did not
okay.
look at that, since it
I'm
was
just-
not part of the.
I'm wondering if there's gonna be the same type of issue there. So, I don't know, that, Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I think the property lines on the tower site are actually at the top of the hill, and it slopes down into those lots, and that's why 24 is not particularly buildable on its own. So, anyway, I've got some ideas for you, Matthew, but I don't know that it's germane to the discussion for approving
Well,
the combination of the lots.
I can tell you one thing, that 22 and 23 have different ownership, because Trinity owns lot 23, and they don't indicate, because they gave me a plat and what they have left
I see.
when they submitted it, so They indicate they own lot 23, but they don't own lot 22.
Does
I mean, I could double check between now and the point, or between now and council on Tuesday.
Does 22 have a structure on it?
I don't know.
That's
I was going to say,
That's all right, I'll drive by after the meeting.
No, I was going to say, it starts somewhere on Ann Street, but as I said, when I was out there, I wasn't really looking at necessarily.
That's where the
I
slide
was-
wall used to be. I feel like that's built in.
Some of it is built in, but not all the way to the water tower yet.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard to
They're back
tell.
a couple of lots.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
okay.
recall
I
anyway.
haven't been in there in a while.
All right.
Bob, did you have a question or a comment?
Oh.
No?
No, I didn't.
All right, what is the will of the commission at this point, I guess?
I'll make a motion to consider recommendation of common council on the common council for the certified survey map of parcel numbers 1450.25 and 1450.24 with the recommendations from Uriah that something gets tagged onto the survey map that we made notes accordingly.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the CSM for the combination of lots 1450.25 and 1450.24 with the addition of entering notes into the CSM to reflect the water tower maintenance issue. Is that correct? Any discussion on that motion?
That's what I have.
If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. On to item number D then. Consider recommendation to the Common Council on the site plan for 548 Waterloo Street. Matt, I'll let you.
Sure. So the purpose of the site plan here is to formally record the parcel lines for the property as it has been used. So over time, there's a fence line on the, I guess it's more the north side where the fall fields are, where it's kind of encroached onto the Lean property, and then on the far, I guess, west side, it's kind of the opposite of that. So what you have here is we're trying to record essentially the property lines as they have been used. If you look at the site plan that Scott Hewitt from Grothman has provided, and it's in your packets, you'll see the shaded area basically shows the difference between what the deed showed from the deed in the 1800s when the property was recorded and the parcel lines now. So Scott has reached out to Paul Johnson, the city attorney, and they kind of have a plan to essentially, once it's approved by Plan Commission and once it's approved by council, to go through with a quick claim deed to basically clean up the parcel lines between the ball fields and the Lean property. So, and John Lean is here to answer any questions, or I don't know if you have any comments, or if I explained that clear, okay. But that's essentially what we're dealing with here, is just, and I did ask, whether or not, because at first, there was some discussion whether or not this was a CSM was needed, but after discussion between the surveyor and the Columbia County Lands Records, they realized it's more, where did I put this? It's because there's no new parcels being developed as a result of this. They said that they did not have to do a CSM, and also it's more verifying the parcel lines that are out there. Difference from the Columbia County Bob's Beverage CSM, for example. So that's what was presented to me, and I've spoke with the Columbia County folks too, just to verify everything. And
I don't have my glasses with me, so just for clarification, it's all at the back of the lot, essentially, just the tail of
Correct.
that lot.
Correct.
And is the bold line is showing what will be perceived as the new lot line, and the shaded area is what was perceived as the old lot line?
correct.
The bold line is where the existing fence is now.
Okay.
As it's been there for over 100 years.
Okay.
And the shaded line is what Scott
Okay, all right. That makes sense to me.
So then you're gonna end up moving the fence?
No, this is to avoid moving fence.
Okay.
We're moving the property.
Well, that's why I just wanted to clarify.
But there was also some confusion though, like what was actually recorded at the county, and that led to this as well. So, you know, kind of, it's just one of those quirky cases.
And the county has weighed in and said.
Oh, yeah.
And said you don't need a CSM.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
'cause, yeah, these are weird, you know, it's basically you're creating a description of your occupation line, you know, but if it makes the deed read differently, then you'd probably need a CSM, but as long as somebody at the county has said super, then I'm not gonna wade in.
I don't have any desire to make things more complicated than they should be, but since this is changing, is there anything else that needs to be considered? Because that tail kind of sticks out into the park, I guess, which would be public land or green space,
You're talking,
where the changes are on that fence line.
correct, and that's why,
That's why we're doing
well,
this.
that's why after this is approved by council, there's really, what's gonna record this is there's gonna be a quitclaim deed that's done between the city and, the lien estate.
Okay,
And essentially, Paul's gonna be, I shouldn't say essentially, Paul will be drafting those documents.
okay.
And that's how it's gonna be handled, and that's, to my understanding, that's how we're gonna record everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and since it follows the fence line, nobody from the public is even gonna know what's
Notice,
going on
okay.
here, that, you know, they're gonna utilize the park up to the fence line just like they have, it's just now that, you know,
Okay.
they won't have to stay off of or out of anywhere they're not already going.
Okay. Thanks. Any further questions? If none, whatever the will of the commission is.
Make a motion to consider recommendation to common council on site plan for 548 Waterloo Street.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to make a recommendation to the common council to approve the site plan for 548 Waterloo Street. Any discussion on that motion? If none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Matt, did you have any additional comments for this evening?
No?
None? Well, that was a nice, quick meeting. Thank you. Unless there's anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Our next regular plan commission meeting then is for Thursday, July 19th. Thank you. Wasn't so bad, kids, was it?